I'm going to share with you my story, how I had that moment of experience with God, the Holy Spirit. When I got saved, and it was a very, very intense season of my life, and literally I have to give everything to God. And then there were the time when go to church, especially on the Friday revival renewal meeting. Friday night was probably the most more that I was seeing God moving on the Friday night. And so whenever we have a time of worship, and when the worship bursts into singing in tongues, singing in the Spirit, and I was not baptized, I didn't speak in tongue, I have no idea what's going on. And I'm sitting in the church, and I'm looking at everybody just speaking in tongue. And it's almost like how you remember I was telling you, if I have those 3-4 people sitting around the table, everybody speak their own different language. So I felt like everybody's just like speaking in tongue, and I'm telling you, they're all out of tune. And the guitar guy was just, whatever chord he's just playing, whatever the other instrument, they're just putting every different chords. And we're all out of tune. And we're all singing and speaking in tongue. And I'm sitting there. I love music. I grew up. I listen to music almost like 6, 7, 8 hours a day. As soon as I go home, I put my music on and all this kind of thing. I have the first Walkman. How many know? How many have Walkman before? All right. Somebody stole it from me, but so I have Walkman with me and everywhere I go. So, and I love music and I sing a lot. And when we're in the church, when we start speaking in tongue, I thought to myself, oh man, I don't speak in tongue, and I'm just watch everybody. And I was like, it's almost like the music was good, singing was good, and then he just cut me off. And then I was sitting there for another 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, until they're done speaking in tongue. And so every time when this happened, I was not a happy person. Because I can't understand, I don't join in, and I was like, I'm not benefiting, so I'm just sitting there watching everybody, and it's all out of tune. So, and then we went on a camp retreat, and during the camp, my first Christian born again camping, if you remember yours, and for me it was a time of praying, and I remember we're praying and praying, and every day, and then they say to me, John, do you want to be baptized? Do you want to speak in tongue? I thought to myself, whoa, you know what? Just because I've been cut off for half an hour every Friday night, I don't want to be cut off, at least, So I've been very honest with him. I say, yeah, but you also need to, sing in tune, worship in tune, all this kind of thing. They said, no, John, you don't get in this, I said, okay. So I said, you want to be baptized? I said, okay, sure, why not? Since everybody's doing this, So I said, I'm going to try to speak in tongue and try to be in tune, So I let them pray for me, and they pray, and they put their hands on me, and I don't know, I think Alexander was there too, so I got 5, 6 guys, they pray for me, and for an hour and a half, and they said, you got it. I said, I got what? You got it. Just repeat after me. Like you teach somebody to say the alphabet, and they say, go ahead. I said, so they teach me to do this, and I've been very, just let it flow, and then they say, you got it. I say, got what? They say, you got it. You got it? I think they were tired after an hour and a half, to be honest with you. Right? I think they want to go and eat their chicken or whatever. Anyway, I felt like, okay. And then the next night again, they all start speaking in tongue, and I'm sitting there listening to everybody. And then they come and pray for me again. And this is going on for 4 nights. And for 4 nights, they say, surely you got it. I said, did I got it? Yeah, you don't know you got it, but I'm telling you, you got it. I thought, okay, right? And then I go home. I say, God, I don't know what this is all about. And I say, God, if this is from you, I want it. If it's not from you, take it away from me, right? And I don't know how long after that. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks. And in the middle of the night, suddenly there was like a just like something just rushing to the room, where my parents, we live in the capital on the main street, and the main floor has like restaurant and all this kind of thing. So my parents is on the first floor, and at the back there's like a guest house, and so my house is at the back, and we rent the bottom piece. I'm the one on the above, on the first floor, and I think it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and suddenly, you have a good night sleep, and suddenly what I felt like something just came over me, and just like start to shake. My whole room started to shake, and I felt the bed shaking, and I was like, what is going on, right? And suddenly I felt this thing started to come out. I started to bubbling out. And I thought, what is going on? I was not expecting anything. I was not, looking for that moment. It was just in the middle of the night. And suddenly I started to speak in that tongue, speak that language. And it come to a point I realized it's getting loud, it's getting loud, it's getting loud, it's getting louder. And I feel like I'm going to wake up people around me. And I try to cover it. I try to control how I speak loud. And I was trying to say, okay. And the more I tried to control the sound level of my voice, right? And I tried to even put my hand on I couldn't do it because everything was shaking. And my voice started to get louder and louder and louder and louder. And after like 15, 20 minutes, I realized I can't control anything. And I give up, and I just let it go, right? So it just go, and I thought to myself, no. My mind started to think, the neighbor's going to complain. My dad's going to come and knock on the door, say what is going on right now in the middle of the night, thinking, what kind of thing you try. I didn't try anything. And so my mind was thinking like, you're waking up, you're disturbing people, and all this kind of thing. But I tried to control, I couldn't do it, so I let it go. And it was getting loud and loud and loud. And finally, I'm still lying on the bed, like looking and closing my eyes, looking, like just trying to, like, what's going on? Try to think, like, what is this all about? So and I realized I can't do nothing, just can't do nothing. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing? You just let God have His way? And this is the moment I realized I can't do nothing. Just let God do whatever He has to do. Just like, okay, God, just whatever happened. If we knock on the door, so what? If neighbors complain, so what? This is the moment you realize, okay, just whatever happened, right? So, and then I was in this moment, and then suddenly I felt like this presence just come and fill the room, powerfully fill the room. And one thing I realized, what's coming out of my mouth, suddenly it's like this is my mother tongue. If this is like my first language, this is even, I grew up speaking French and English and Creole. And so when I started speaking tongue, I realized, you know what? This is even far beyond my mother tongue. This is my mother tongue. This is the language that I've learned, that I know for eternity. And this is it. How do you explain that? And this is what I realized. The very first thing, this is my original language. This is the number one language in my life. And then the next thing I know, I started to realize everything that's coming out of my mouth is literally glorifying God. It's everything that's coming out is literally just beautiful, just magnifying, glorifying. There's no darkness. It's a pure language. It's a holy language, and there's nothing dark to it. It's glorifying God. That's the second thing I realized. So this go on and on and on until I think it's around 6:30 in the morning. So for over 3 hours, I had this moment, and I realized, my leg, my arm, everything is, all the muscles have been shaking for 3 hours. It's not, your body come to a place where it's like getting tired and all. So, but that was experience, and to my surprise, nobody complained. I saw the lights come on into my parents' room, the kitchen lights come on. I thought, okay, they were going to come and knock on the door. But the lights come on, but nobody come in, and I thought to myself, that's good. So So that was my experience about the Holy Spirit came. And when this happened to me, and for more than 3 hours, you experience that moment, speaking in tongue, your mother tongue, your eternal tongue, declaring the glory of God. You know what it did to you? Nobody can tell me that speaking in tongue is not for today. When I have that kind of moment, no matter what kind of theology we can bring, no matter what kind of scriptures we bring up, no matter what kind of where it says speaking is not for today, I said, really? Well, how do you explain this? And this is my experience.